your journey of moving from network to building genuine connections.
Networking helps you build visibility, and connection helps you build legacy.
Is image the superficial bit?
People need to understand the difference between the image and the identity. Image is your outer shell, but identity is something who you really are.
Giving this idea to the world that kindness and compassion can never go out of fashion. When you did not have that power on paper as a title, in your role, in your designation, but even then, you could influence someone's thought process.
In my opinion, influence is not about the attention. I think it's about the intention.
It's not about how I have to shine around, how I have to take the spotlight. It's about how my light can help others shine bright. So joining me on my first episode of Let's Unlearn is someone I deeply admire, not for his professional journey, but the way he builds work relationships that are beyond normal transactions, that are based on mutual trust, respect, and authenticity. And today we have Tarun Sharma, a national sales lead of One Bank. And apart from, of course, being a sales professional, he has impacted million young minds through his talks on self-growth, leading with integrity, and leadership. So Tarun, thank you. Thank you for joining. And this episode is, of course, special because this is our first episode.
Thank you, Sonia, for having me on your maiden podcast on Unlearning with Sonia. I'm glad to be the part of it and excited to, share whatever little I know. Yeah, I think even the topic, even the agenda is so dear to me and it's so close to my heart that I keep on excelling every single day that how can I do it better, right? So, yeah, all set and all excited for this.
Wonderful. And you just use this word excelling, which is, I think personal growth is all about excelling. It's about being better than what you were yesterday. Sarun, I've observed, I've watched your professional journey and I know you as a sales professional, of course. So we've all grown up hearing that your network is your net worth. Yeah. So it's all about how many LinkedIn connections that you have, how many names that you know, and how big is your contact list, and how many industry events you are visible at. Now, is it, I mean, over the years, is it still the way to do or conduct business, or has there been any movement in how we build our network?
So I think, Sonia, what happens that even I was no different when I started my journey in 2007 as a sales professional, right? Uh, we were taught that the the fat contact list should be the only thing which you should have. You should know everybody. You should meet everybody. Let's say when you are at an event, right? We used to carry those, set of cards, right? And 100 set of cards each. And then we used to just distribute those cards and exchange the cards in return. But then gradually in last 16, 17 years, what I have observed is that networking is not what used to work back then, like a decade ago. Today, it's all about meaningful connections. And if I have to just put in I'll say, a message to the young folks who are starting or who are willing to build a good network, right, with having quality connections. So only one thing which comes to my mind is in the early stage of your career, right, what matters is your skill or what you know. But in the later stage of your career, right, what matters is who you know and how deep you know, right? So that's what I believe has changed over these years. And if you ask me today, when I go and meet the sorts of people I meet, right? In general, they are ultra HNIs, right? And these people value long-lasting relationships, right? And that just doesn't happen as a part of normal networking exercise, right? You really need to be one of those whom they trust, right?
Absolutely.
It's all about trust.
There's just something very beautiful. You just mentioned that it's not about how many people you know, but it's about who you know and how deep you know that. Absolutely. So what I'm listening, Tarun, is that we've moved from networking to building genuine connections.
Yes.
Yeah. So people who are there who would probably take your name even when you're not in the room. I mean,
Absolutely.
in a room full of opportunities, even if you're not there, they have you in mind.
Yes.
And I think so, it's not about numbers, it's not about even visibility, it's more about building genuine connections.
So let me tell you, when I talk about these meaningful connections in my so much so career, right? I have got a lot of referral business, right? Not just because I ended up doing business with these sorts of connections, but because of I build a strong bond with these people, right? I think to me, network is just your having someone in your contact list, having someone you just know, but connection is something which is purely built on deep trust as well as generosity, as well as by being respectful to each other.
You know, when you say bond with these people, this reminds me of, this story of, one of those leaders that I deeply admire, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. And somewhere in 2004, when she was trying to take Biocon, as a global entity, and she did not have any Ivy League, support. She didn't have a strong boardroom to back her. All she had was a deep connection, right from lab assistants to pharma collaborators to scientists. And one of those collaborations helped her get into that investor summit, which she didn't even dream of. So, yes, I mean, I can truly relate to what you said, that, it's all about the bond that you might not even do business with them, but then the bond that you've created you don't know when it's going to flourish and what opportunities it can open for you. So you don't even need a pitch deck. You don't even need a PPT or anything. You just show up, and you show up with authenticity. And yes, people who believe in your vision and your style of work, I think, yes, I completely, relate to what you just mentioned, that bond is what matters. And even if you don't do business with them. So, Tarun, moving from networking to building these kind of bonds, this kind of authentic connections. So, Tarun, what do you think has helped Tarun Sharma in moving from networking, where numbers was paramount, to building genuine connections?
I think it's not just one thing. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. And in my opinion, to me, network is just a contact list, right? But a connection is where you really know them, right? And when you know them, I mean, do you know about their value system? So I started, doing some genuine listening with these people, even when I'm having no agenda meetings, right? I will travel to these customers just to have a cup of tea, half an hour of discussion, and having no business conversation because I wanted to genuinely know them, right? And not just that, do you know about their families? Do you know their birthdays, their families' birthdays, their value systems, what drives them, what keeps them up at 2 a.m. in the midnight, right? So I used to genuinely ask these questions, and after a point in time, they were opening about it, right? So that I think is very, very pivotal, in building not just the network, but a real connection.
Absolutely. So, what I'm listening is effort. I'm sure when you say no agenda meeting, then you would travel, say, 100 kilometers just to have a cup of tea and half an hour of discussion. It is an effort, right?
So let me tell you, if you ask me what's the most beautiful thing on planet Earth, I would say it's effort. It's just effort.
Absolutely. And I think this effort goes a long mile in helping you build those connections.
Absolutely.
And adding to that effort, Tarun, I also believe that if effort is the most beautiful thing, and the second most beautiful thing is being consistent.
Yes.
I think nothing can beat consistent effort. So if you have showed up to them, it was not once or twice. I mean, you would be there even when you were not required to be there.
Every single time.
So, Tarun, if you have to probably summarize in one sentence your journey of moving from network to building genuine connections, how would you just probably tell our audience in one sentence?
So to me, it's just networking helps you build visibility, and connection helps you build legacy.
So, what you just said, Tarun, reminded me of this beautiful quote by Dale Carnegie, who once said that you can make more connections by genuinely being interested in people than getting them interested in you. So, absolutely, yes, we are building legacy through connections. Yeah. Okay, so now when we're talking about building genuine connections, there's something which has always fascinated me is the power of image, you know. And of late, there has been a contradiction. On one hand, the image industry is booming. I mean, it is growing exponentially. We're sitting on something like a 1500 crore industry. And on the other hand, internet is flooded with things like "mujhe farak nahi padta," I don't care a damn, I don't give, uh, I don't, really care how I appear. So I don't know, because as an individual, I think this is a lie, because हम सबको अपनी image से फर्क पड़ता है. I mean,
Right.
look at the time or the investment that goes into looking good, having those perfect LinkedIn profiles on even the Zoom backgrounds, right? So, I mean, and also, Maslow also had placed social belongingness at the core of the hierarchy of needs. So, as humans, our image does matter to us. So, when you're there, when you are conducting and building those genuine connections, what do you think? Is image the superficial bit that, we're talking about, essentially the way you conduct and the way you look? Or there's something deeper about image?
People need to understand the difference between the image and the identity. To me, image is your outer shell, how you look, how you conduct, you know, uh, how you speak, right? How you show up, right? But identity is something who you really are, right? Let me give you a very interesting story from the House of Tatas, right? And we know that House of Tatas has had this gem of a person, which is Mr. Ratan Tata, right? So I think it was April of 2018 where the Prince Charles, right, organized the Lifetime Achievement Award for Mr. Ratan Tata. Okay. And it was, I think, on the 6th of February 2018. And he was scheduled to land there and reach and attend the ceremony, you know. But just a day prior, he actually calls and informed the organizers that, one of his two favorite pets, Tino and Tony, right? One of them is terribly sick, right? And he just cannot leave them. Now imagine when the organizers said, "Sir, it is the Prince Charles who has organized everything in Buckingham Palace. Are you sure you're not joining them?" So he said, "Yes, please give my regards," and informed Prince Charles he would know. And when organizers informed Prince Charles, then Prince Charles said, "That is the reason why the man he is what he is." So I think this is what living up to your true identity as human being, and I think that impresses me the most from the persona of Ratan Tata.
Thank you for sharing this. I mean, it completely left me in awe to this majestic persona of course, Mr. Ratan Tata. And that's why he's Ratan Tata. So, I mean, it can be the other way around. I mean, because of his sheer capability of creating that persona and giving this idea to the world that kindness and compassion can never go out of fashion. And since you just mentioned my favorite person, I'll also add that, I'm sure it created the story, created a lot of buzz that there was a stray, this is somewhere early 2010s. And there was a stray who would often find his way into the reception of Taj Lands End in Mumbai. And imagine, I mean, it's Taj Lands End, and they would probably have a stray free zone. But then this gentleman, out of his kindness and compassion, he not only allowed that stray inside the hotel, he even created a comfort corner for the pet. So, yes, so actually, so I think what you just mentioned is moving from the idea of the outer shell we call image, to being aligned to the identity or who we truly are. Because I think when we're not aligned with our identity, the image would not even open the doors with you. Forget even staying inside the door.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Tarun, when we're talking about identity, how can we actually align ourselves to who we are and not just showing to the world what we are?
After a certain point in time in my career, I kept on asking myself that what am I without my titles, right? What am I without my ranks, or what am I without my designation? Why should people remember me when I'm not there, right? Is it just because of the outer shell which I have created, or it is something more to it, right? And that's what I believe. Uh, I read it somewhere that people, so there were three phases, right? Earlier, you behave in a certain manner with people how you want, right? Second phase is that you want to behave with people how they want it to, right? But I think the most ideal scenario is, right, even if they do not reciprocate, right, you still be yourself, still be the best person, uh, who can make them feel absolutely out of the world, right? That's your generosity, that's your identity, right? Someone said that if anything you can be, just be kind with someone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what I'm listening is that empathy, or, when even my experience doesn't match your experience, and even then I can be myself to help you feel better. I think that's what helps us get into the real world of business, where we are not just doing transactional business, but we are building genuine work relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what I learned from you, Tarun, about the entire idea of image is that image can introduce you, but your identity is something people will remember you for.
True.
And, when we are aligned with our identity, there is something deep that we discover about ourselves is the idea of power. You know, uh, I mean, that's how we have grown, that power comes with the title, power comes with, where is your office? I mean, if you have the corner room in the office. And I think the most organic idea of power is simply put, it's our ability to influence someone's thought process. Yeah. So, I mean, the idea of power also, you can have power that comes with your title.
Yeah.
But then that would only help people move their to do list. But when you're influencing people and their decisions and their thought process, I think that's the power which creates an impact. So I was just curious that if you have also encountered or if you have seen this idea of power in action, that when you did not have that power on paper as a title in your role, in your designation, but even then you could influence someone's thought process.
Yeah. So I think you are bringing in absolute relevant, aspect, which is power, without being in a position to, to use it. I think there are a lot of stories, across my career which I have witnessed. But I think there are a couple of my favorites, or I'll say I would like to put just one here is, so again, I was just having a no agenda meeting conversation with one of the promoter. So there's a big college in north of India, and the young promoter was sitting across, and he received a call during the meeting, and I think he was in a hurry to finalize something. And I candidly asked, without taking the name of the person, that, hey, what is this? Like, what's that bothering you? Are you in a hurry? You can take your time. And then he said, come on, yaar, Tarun, I have to close this, this contract or this thing, because we are looking for a partner who can solve some fee reconciliation or a collection problem for their college, because they have thousands and thousands of students. And on the spot, I thought that I think I can solve this for him. And I ended up making a couple of calls sitting there. And guess what? One of the connections actually ended up solving their problem in 30 minutes. So I realized that when you are genuinely interacting with your connections and when you have this intent of helping them, right? I think when you are intending to help your real connections, I think you can do it in much more ways than you can think what they can think. So I think that was the best, I could have on the top of my memory.
So absolutely. So what I'm listening is that real influence or real power comes by value addition. So this was a value add, right? It was not even something you're supposed to do. That was not your forte. That was not your profile. That was not you who was doing or conducting that no agenda meeting. But then, so the real power is it comes out of our ability to add value to someone or maybe in a conversation.
And largely, if you ask me, people will remember you, people will work with you largely if you can do some value addition in their businesses or their personal lives. That's it.
So this reminds me, so it's not about what you say or what you do, it's how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And when you're adding value to them, I mean, you are making them feel that, yes, you matter to me and I'm there for you.
And the same chairperson ended up calling me out of nowhere, right? After a couple of months, that hey Tarun, thank you so much. The solution, the guy you introduced actually helped us. And this was a big concern for our accounts and finance to reconciliate a lot of things. And I felt so good that I could really make an impact, right? In the day-to-day lives. Yeah.
So you just mentioned this word impact, and that's exactly that, when influence leads to impact, that's where real shift happens. And I think that's how leadership has evolved over the last couple of years. I mean, we've all grown up hearing that we should have the last word, we should win conversations, we should actually be the loudest in the room.
Yeah.
And when we talk of impact which emanates from real influence, it's not about holding the spotlight, but giving space for others to come into spotlight.
Yeah.
And that's where real impact comes in. So, I mean, that's a very cliche thing to say that leaders create more leaders, but then that's the essence of real impact, that you're not operating from a scarce mindset that if I give it to somebody, I'll have less for myself. So, I mean, have you also encountered that, even being the quietest in the room, or even by, sheer mindset of not getting yourself in the spotlight has helped you create an impact?
Yeah, I think I can share two things here. One from my personal experience, and second from cricket, because I have a special place of a cricket in my heart, and I play it like pretty often. So personally, when I look at my career of, let's say, last 17 years, right? For the most amount of it, I was an individual contributor in numbers, in business, and all of them. But when I was transitioning from an individual contributor to a manager or to a senior manager or to the national lead, I I was very much there, but then I started taking the back seat and allowed the young, team members to project the numbers in the room or to take the spotlight in the town halls. Show the rest of the team that what is that they are, doing, and it really helped them to one to really kill their fear about owning that spot. Second, it gave them the feeling that their opinion matters, right? And another example which I was talking about comes from cricket, and I think precisely it was the T20 World Cup in Bangladesh and it was a semi-final match between India and South Africa, and I think India was chasing some 175, 176. And out of all the batsmen, Kohli was the one who actually played a beautiful knock. I think he scored some 67 or 68 runs in 40 odd balls. And right when India was about to win, right, the wicket fell off, right? And Dhoni walks in, right? So Dhoni was the active captain, and Dhoni was on the peak of his career, and he was known for finishing the games,
Yeah.
right? And this is what touched me the most. And I think people should go out and watch that clipping on the internet, right? Even ICC appreciated it, that Dhoni could easily finish off that game, right, in the second last over, right? Because India just needed one run to win, right? But he actually played that ball, just defended, and took no run, right? Because he knew in the next over, Kohli will come and take the strike and he can hit the winning runs. He really wanted Kohli to take that spotlight in that moment because he actually took India home, right? And this was a beautiful example of being in there in the situation where you could do that, but allowing the other, to finish off for the country. And imagine the feeling which Virat Kohli, took it with him at the end of the day. I think that was, uh, I feel very much touched by that feeling.
And I think that's why Dhoni has been the most loved captain for,
Absolutely.
of all times in cricket. I mean, I don't follow cricket that much, but of course, I know about
He is.
Dhoni and his leadership and his captaincy. I think he's the most loved leader, not because of his talent or his skills. It's because the person he is. So, yes, so it's not about holding the spotlight, but holding and creating that space because, such people, they operate from an abundant mindset. So, they know that it's not that there is little. And if I give that little, whether it is love, respect, recognition, reward, whatever, it's not that there is little. And if I give it, there would be little less for me. They operate from an abundant mindset that if I give more, there would be more that would be available for me. Yes, that was a beautiful story that you shared. Thank you for sharing it with us. Yeah, so I think, this is something which I truly believe that, in a world where everybody is trying to outsmart others, being ordinary is the new extraordinary. And it's not about, that how I have to shine or how I have to take the spotlight. It's about how my light can help others shine bright. So thank you for sharing that example, Tarun. And thank you for being with us and sharing those beautiful stories that you shared about Ratan Tata, about Dhoni. And yes, it was truly a delight interacting with you about your journey. And are there any last words for us and our audience?
Again, I would like to thank you for having me here. And I think my last word would be that, in my opinion, influence is not about the attention. I think it's about the intention.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So, yeah, that's it.
absolutely. So thank you, Tarun, for taking out time and sharing those beautiful stories with us. Thank you so much. And this episode is truly special because this was our first episode of Let's Unlearn.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really glad that I could contribute. It was really a delight, being here.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And thank you for being a part of our first episode of Let's Unlearn, and where it's not just a podcast, it's a perspective shift.